Hey, it's Dior, and this is going to be a market analysis video for the 24th of August. And overall, I'm just going to be talking about overall market trends and the big market event that happened yesterday for rug pull, and just kind of looking at the trends and seeing if I can make a little bit of predictions for how I think the market might move in the coming week and such. So just kind of looking through the market here, there's a couple things I've noticed. For some standard PD1 cards, they saw a gap back down, not to their original levels at all, of course. But for example here, cost of creation, this is at 0.32 at the moment. At its peak, it was around 0.47 during like the peak hype for the PD1 paraset completions. And again, you can still complete that as of right now. You have until Thursday at 5 p.m. EDT is the date of the snapshot. But yeah, like some cards like that have taken a hit, but some other ones have just kept going up. For example, I think I looked at a couple of them. So if we look at Pocket Dimension here, it's right now at almost 3, which is pretty crazy here, and you can kind of see the graph how things have moved. Essentially what we saw was right at the beginning. Let me see if I can go back to the original time, unless OpenSea just won't let me. Yeah, it seems like it won't. But in general, what happened was Pocket Dimension moved from, oh yeah, you see, oh my gosh, it even went to 4. I wasn't even aware it went to almost 4. That's actually nuts. But yeah, so what ended up happening was these were like I don't know, like 0.3 or something, 0.2 before the Galaxy Key announcement came out. Well, the Paraset announcement came out first, and then some hours later, the Galaxy announcement. After the Paraset, these moved up to like 0.5, and then once Galaxy Key news came out, they just shot up, and they originally went all the way up to like near like 2.5 very briefly, and then they came back down to about like 1.4, something like that. I think I showed it in one of my other videos. And overall, I was expecting it to really just kind of just shuffle a bit, just back and forth up until the snapshot, until we saw the dump. But I guess I didn't really take into the account that I guess people just aren't selling, and actually there's a lot more sets being completed than most people really originally thought, at least for me. I was expecting between about 100 to 200, but I think somebody calculated we're looking at numbers between 200 to 300 at the moment. But it seems like, there's just so little, liquidity right now and for some of these cards. And I'd call this Pocket Dimension like a gatekeeping card, just because it's one of the few, like it's most of the day and nights that are really kind of holding people back, because, they have half the supply, because you need both the day and night version to complete the set. So they're really being a, like an obstacle for many people to complete their sets. So like just prices are crazy. Like you see, there's even offers for 2.5, which is just nuts. And again, like it went all the way up to 4, which I totally wasn't expecting it to go this crazy. So it seems like there's going to be, people really value these Galaxy keys, and we don't really know how valuable they'll be until, we get more news. But, there's cards like this, and as well as the Eye of Godly. If we take a look at it, it's at about 1.6 for the night version. Yeah, I think it stayed around 1.5. I know it dipped back down to 0.9 at some point, like during these times of low volume. As you can see, 0.9 and 1 average. But we see it coming back up to 1.6. And again, this is just because of, I guess, just extra hype with parasets and just general illiquidity, just because there's so few of these left compared to the number of sets. Like I said, PD1 sets, I think there's, out of like the 200 to 300, the majority of them are PD1, of course. Probably around, 100 to 200. I'd look upwards more closer to 200 of them are for PD1 sets, and it's not that there's only 358, but let me see here. 600 left. So yeah, about like 400 total of them are out right now for the night version. So like about half of them are taken up by people who are trying to complete a paraset, which again is can help kind of allude to the fact that as of right now, since there isn't any news of there being any other incentive to hold past the snapshot date, we will probably see a huge dump in these. I'd expect this to just be cut like crazy. Like the moment that snapshot gets taken, so many people are just going to instantly try dumping them, and they'll probably fail completely because who the hell is going to buy them after the snapshot? So just so people know, I would recommend, and this is really only going to work for like 3 people, but just fill the offers. Like, at least that'll be my own personal opinion. That I would probably fill in offers, just because people are just going to spam undercut each other, until the price eventually consolidates. But it really depends on whether or not the team is going to promote a reason to keep holding your paraset. If that happens, then I feel like we might still see like a gap down, but it won't be like a complete dump in price. It won't go back to like the original prices, but like more than likely we'll see still a movement down in general, especially in these Pocket Dimension and Eye of Galley with their just super inflated prices right now. That's mostly it for kind of the overall standard movement. But kind of looking at other stuff here, again, just a little quick note I wanted to make. Again, I personally would recommend you stay away from perfect loops right now. There's going to be 500 of this night one and 500 of the day one. And if we we look in here, parallel owns 244. Wait, 244. Yeah, that's actually kind of weird. 244 is 6. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 250 of each. My bad. For the Eye of Galleys. 250 of each of these for a total of 500. And again, there's literally like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total that have been sent out of the 250 total. So like this price is super inflated. So like if you have one, I would probably try to sell it as soon as you could, or at least before the next drop, because I would expect them to come out with more in the next drop for sure. And then looking at PS15 non-SEs, again, like I said, there is a possibility that we'd keep seeing these move up a little bit, moving up towards the snapshot, and they did. They did see a little dip temporarily, but Recon is now at 1.5, and the big gatekeeper for PS15 non-SE right now is Archivist Pride. It's now at 10, which is just insane. As you can see here, there's been sells for 8, 7, 9. But again, these non-SEs for PS15, again, look, addition of 30,000, okay? And these will all come out. All 30,000 will be out eventually. Right now, there's only 61 owners. It's something like, I don't know, like 60, 70 total of these out right now. Once, the snapshot happens, these will also see a dump, unless, again, there's an incentive to hold. But you will still see a dump, maybe just not as hard if that happens. And again, once PD2 happens and beyond, these are just going to keep going down in price just because the supply is just going to be fed into the market like a bunch. Like, look, again, 30,000 of these, while there's only 60 of them currently. Like you can just guess how the price is going to go with that. If even 1,000, even if just 1,000 out of the 30,000, and there'll be probably more, but even if just 1,000 are released, like you can just see how much the price of this is going to tank in the future. So again, unless you're really trying to complete a paraset, there's really no purpose in buying these right now. So yeah, that's mostly it for those. And now I guess in general, talking about SEs. Actually, no, before that, I would say, the big thing to really realize here is that these prices, they're not just like, oh, this is like what this card is really worth. It's really more like, is what is somebody else willing to pay for this right now? Like that's really all it is right now. That's really just the idea that's going on here with Paraset completion right now. But again, moving on to just in general normal SEs and stuff. I've just been looking at a couple cards here. I mean, I looked through the whole market, but to just kind of point out a few. You're looking at Void Crystal, for example, pretty popular card, currently sitting at 0.7. So overall, the SE market, it's seen a big pump, but once the news about the Galaxy keys and such happened, we did see an overall drop in prices, mostly because people were selling a bunch of their SEs so they could then afford all the expensive standard cards, as the standards, as you can see, are like, super inflated right now. Like this is like a 0.7. You can literally buy a standard rare right now for 0.7. Like manipulation rate is like 0.7 right now. So like as you can see here, like we see like quite a dip coming from like 0.9 all the way down to what we see now of like 0.65, 0.7. And they're still moving. SEs are still moving around, but just the volume is way less, just because they're not as important to people at the moment because of the Paraset completion. And another example here, Lifewell, not as extreme, but you can just kind of see, it takes a little dip here, and they're slowly coming back up because, in general, a lot of people have the idea that once the Paraset snapshot happens, we're probably going to see a shift of money from standards back into SEs, because if you watched my previous video talking about card continuum, most standard cards will have like a CC2 version, CC3 version, which will increase their edition size. But SEs will still hold up their rarity better than standards. While again, standards will still hold their value and rarity. I would again recommend you check out that video so you kind of understand what I'm talking about. But overall, I personally consider SEs a better hold for a more mid to long term. So again, we're probably going to see movement from standard cards back into SEs once the snapshot is over. And you can in general just see kind of like the movement here. It kind of comes up for a bit, and then you see like a market correction, consolidates, and then again you see an increase in hype, and then it comes back down here. And I think Lifewells were selling at like 0.5 at some point, just a couple days ago, and now they're back up to 0.6. And a lot of people will think 0.5 to 0.6 really doesn't mean anything, but it really does. Like genuinely, that's a upwards of like 15 to 20% increase in price. Like that's a big number. Like like 15 to 20% isn't just something to just like laugh at. That's a 0.1 ETH increase. And all these add up. Whenever you have like multiple cards, when you own 20 cards and all of them move up 0.1, that's like 2 ETH. Yeah, so that's overall, the kind of how we've been looking at things in the SE market. And then now moving on to the big market event, which was the rug pull. So just less than 24 hours ago, the main parallel Twitter tweeted out that on Thursday at the same time as the Galaxy Key snapshot, they'll be holding a snapshot for rug pull cards, where if you hold a rug pull day, you'll be airdropped a SE rug pull day, and if you, again, vice versa for the night version. And then as well as that, we'll be seeing a kind of giveaway, like a random giveaway to give out these 1 of 8, I think there's 8 total of each of these. Instead of rug pull, it's actually rug pull. Again, because literally there's rug pulled the fucking flower out of the picture. And again, these are going to be a 1 out of 8. I think it's 1 out of 8 if I'm not mistaken. But 2 people randomly selected to receive a rug pull art card. So there's going to be 1 for the day, 1 for the night, probably. And some people were wondering, what rug pull, like where it came from and all that, because again, it's not part of PS15 and it is not part of PD1. Rug pull was a card from the faucet, and I don't remember when faucet was. It was like May or June, something like that. But essentially, what happened was the Parallel team opened up this thing on their website where essentially all you did was, you clicked a button and it gave you an animation, and all you had to do was pay literally like $5 worth of gas, and you were just instantly given one of these. And there was a possibility of 10,000 total, 5,000 of each to be given out. And there was also one rug pull masterpiece also inside there that one person would randomly get, and that was given out. And but at that time the community wasn't as big as it is now, so only 800 of them were really claimed. 900, if I'm not mistaken here. Yeah, about 900 of them. Like you can see, let me see the Twitter. I think it shows the total of each exactly. That's gonna actually give me 1 sec. I'm pretty sure it's like a total of around, I think if you add both of them, it'll be like 1,800, 1,900. Okay, here we go. Yeah, for the day, it seems to be like 956, and the night is around like 920 something, which is going to give you a total of, I think, 1881 total rug pull SEs. Again, like 900-ish of each. And I have no idea how much they're really going to cost. But again, what happened in the market was, again, these things were selling at less than 0.01, literally. Like you can just see on this graph right here, selling at 0.007, 0.00. I guess we even saw sometimes we saw movement up to like 0.01, but overall it was really just like, again, you saw less than 0.01, and then we saw gap ups. And it came up here and there. 0.1. That this was when the pack drop happened. More people came into the community and just bought them because they didn't really know what it was. And again, price has been pretty low. It's usually like the lowest priced card of the market normally. But again, just recently in the past week, there's been some movement up to like 0.2 as all the standard cards have just kind of risen up like crazy. So people have just bought everything. And again, you can just see like just this huge spike in this graph. If I really show this clearly, like just a huge spike, and we average price is like 0.6, but again, even right now it's at 0.7. We saw upwards of 1.3, 1.5. Around there was the peak of the price, and then it consolidated at around like 1 ETH. For like about like a couple hours, and then slowly kind of tapered its way down to 0.9, then 0.8. And it seems like overall, the market's considering them as 0.7 at the moment, and it might just keep coming down until the snapshot, maybe down to 0.5, but who knows, honestly. I'll tell you personally, I owned 3 of these literally at the last 5 minutes that you could get the faucet. I just got 2 more just for fun. I was like, why not? It was like $5. Who cares? And I'll tell you personally, I had 3. I sold 2 of them. I sold one for like 1.36 and then one for 1.04. But I'm holding my third one just because I want the SE and may as well give it a shot at the art card, because why not? But yeah, that's really what happened with the rug pulls. You're gonna probably expect to see them tank after the snapshot, just so you know, just so you don't have any hope for it to keep going up, unless there's more news that just randomly comes out. But that's really all it is with rug pull. And then I guess the last thing I might say here, or maybe the last two things, is first is again quickly talking about PS15 SEs and how those have moved recently. Overall, we saw like a big jump in them last week, as we had a bunch of new big players in the market who bought them up really quickly. But they did kind of gap down here, as you can see. Revitalizing growth at 17, Recon at 18, Kethrexamine at 18, Prime Keys now at around 19. And again, Prime Proposal is, this coming week. So be prepared for these things to just move. It's either going to be all the way up or all the way down. We don't know yet. It really depends on what happens with the Prime Proposal. But yeah, overall, like, the PS15's like Neutron Bomb, I think, went literally up to like 30, 40. This one right here that I'm hovering over is taking a while to load, but like these moved up to like 30, 40-ish, something like that. But now they came back down just because the hype died down just for a second. But it seems like they're mostly just consolidating right now. But once there's more hype with the project and in the market, once we get some more bigger names to come into the community, I would probably expect these to start moving back up again. But it's just normal for them to correct themselves, because you can't always support like an inflated price. Because again, even though these like came back down compared to what they were like 2 weeks ago, it's like double, like, or even more than double. So I'm not really worried about these at all. Again, like there's some of the most sought after cards in the entire project. But yeah, and I think the other last thing would just be card backs. They did see a huge pump recently, but they started consolidating back down again. Like you see the Warden, I think this sold for upwards of like 12 to 14 at some point. It's coming back down to 9. It seems like overall a lot of stuff is starting to kind of consolidate until we see big hype. And personally, I would expect quite a bit of movement happen once Prime Proposal and the actual token itself, which we don't know when that'll come out, comes out, as that'll bring a lot more eyes into the project, a lot more buyers. But until then, I would probably personally recommend looking towards SEs, moving up to the snapshot, as I personally think that money's going to move back into them once the snapshot happens. And I mean, because they did dip a little bit compared to what their peak was, but so you could consider it a sale right now, but not for all cards. Some cards are just pumped like way out the ass, but there's still a bunch of stuff out there to look for, and I couldn't say really specifically what, as I'd have to look into detail into every single card. But overall, again, I normally like to recommend rare SEs if you see like them being like a little underpriced, or uncommon SEs if you see them underpriced. But if you really can't afford those, then common SEs are always the way to go. It never hurts. My personal big one is Smuggled Supplies right here. I own 4 of them, just because it's a universal SE. And I'll probably talk about that again in another video, how universals will hopefully and probably see a gap up once more functionality and gameplay comes out in the game, where people really realize the edition size for universals should be cut in 5. So take it out how you will. But I never think it hurts to get an SE, a common SE, if that's really all you can afford. But overall, if you really can't afford anything, I would just say to save up your money for the packs, in late October and such, because those will really just give you the best bang for your buck. But again, we don't know how a lot of these SEs are going to move moving up to that pack drop, because there's still a good 2 months around there until that pack drop, and we saw how much the markets moved in even less than a month. So who knows how the prices can be up till then. I'd probably expect them to move up as more hype comes into the community, but it's the NFT market. We follow crypto. Shit just happens in this space. You never know what happens. So overall, I think that's kind of it for this one. I'm looking to kind of post probably more like a set schedule for market analysis, and I'll try to probably put out ones more often if things start moving a lot more often. But it really depends on how the market is. But I think that'll kind of be it for this one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, follow the Twitter, and I'll see you in the next one.